Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am here today with Dr. Kadisha Rapp. Dr. Rapp and I have been friends for many years, and in case you didn't get the message, we are both emergency physicians. So we are so happy to be able to join you today to tell you a little bit about safety. Safety on this holiday weekend, as well as safety during the summer in general. So we're going to wait a few minutes for a few people to join us, but we are so excited that you are here. Dr. Rapp, how is it down there in Houston right now?
It is 92 degrees last I checked. It's a beautiful day, but it's a little hazy, super hot. People are getting ready for tomorrow, and I hope they're not going to party too hard. And, we still have our mask mandate ongoing. And so we're just hoping that things don't get too crazy this weekend.
I hear you. It's so funny because we're exactly the same temperature as you, but
Oh,
I have an advantage because it's not humid up here.
yeah, it's heavy, and this reminds me of the first summer that I lived here, and I used to around this time have to like just lay down. I would just be out like until the sunset, and I knew it was hot, but I didn't think it was so hot that was why. I just thought I got tired, just that time. No, that was the heat and the humidity that was knocking me out every day.
So a little bit of our past, we actually worked together in Pennsylvania many years ago. And during that time, we were used to the hot heat and humidity from Philadelphia,
Yeah.
but it's different now. It's different, much different, depending on where you live in the country. And for those of you who are along with us, seeing what's going on with the temperatures around the country, yeah, it's definitely a challenge. And we've had those over 100-degree weather already.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. So yeah, and tell me about Abilene. Where exactly is Abilene located?
So Abilene is about 2.5 hours west of Dallas, about 3.5 hours north of San Antonio.
Okay.
So we are in the middle of West Texas. It is windy all the time. So that's the advantage we have as far as the temperature, because we don't get that stagnant air. But we are a fairly small town. Oh, I'm sorry. For those Abilenians out there who may be watching, we are a city. It's a town compared to what I'm used to. So I call it a town still. But we've got about 130,000 people.
Nice.
So, yes.
That's a nice size.
And I see Dr. Erica has joined us. Hi, Dr. Erica.
Hi,
Yes,
Dr.
we are matching today. We are both wearing our purple scrubs. It was not planned. We did not plan this, but we both love purple.
Yeah, this makes us happy.
That's right. We need everything we can possibly have to be happy in the ER when times are tough.
Yeah, and I was watching Dr. Erica's live stream, and I was like, "Yeah, where's my trust fund? Where's my trust fund at?"
Oh well, can't all be like Dr. Erica. So we might as well go ahead and get started. We are here, as I said before, to tell you a little bit about safety during the summer and especially during this holiday weekend. So when you think July 4th, what's the first thing you think about?
Fireworks.
Fireworks, absolutely. And everybody loves to watch fireworks. Well, this year is going to be a little bit different in most places. Matter of fact, our governor here in Texas just said that if you have more than 20 active cases in your county, that it is mandatory to wear a mask. That was just said this afternoon. So that's a big change from previous for Texas. But at the same time, there's no gatherings more than 10 people. And then 10 people are also supposed to keep a safe distance. Well, in the past, we've had these big fireworks shows. Matter of fact, Abilene people come from all over. to watch the show here in Abilene. Haven't heard whether it's going to go on or not. I haven't seen any information about that. But in lieu of that, a lot of people are having their own fireworks shows at home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not a big fan of home fireworks. Can you imagine why?
I know what.
You know why?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to give you just a few statistics, or I should say, not so fun facts. So more than 19,000 fires are started annually because of fireworks. This is according to 2018 statistics. More than 9,000 injuries are treated in the ED during the period around July 4th. 50% of those are injuries to extremities, the hands, the fingers, legs. A third are to the eyes or head. Let's think. A third of those patients altogether are children under the age of 15. And everybody always assumes it's the very small children. The most common age group is actually those 10 to 15 years old. The kids that once you tell them, they know better, and they're just not listening to you.
Right.
And then a quarter of those are related to those things that we think are benign, sparklers. Now, what? I know I played with sparklers. Did you play with sparklers too, Dr. Kadisha?
Yeah.
No?
Yes, I did. And those little sparks, like they seemed harmless back then, but no, they're not harmless.
Not at all. Sparklers actually can give off heat of up to, get this, 2,000 degrees. 2,000 degrees. 2,000 degrees will melt metal. It will melt gold. And you're running around with that at 5, 6 years old, just waving it around.
You like to do this?
Yes.
And do this?
Yes. They are not harmless at all.
Oh.
Think about your small child, any age, doesn't matter if you're a child or not, but running around with those, one of those sparks, common place to go, in the eye. There you go. You've potentially lost vision in that eye that quickly.
Just like that.
You fall with it. Yes. You fall with it, what happens? You burned yourself. They can cause 3rd-degree burns.
Wow.
We don't think about it. We just don't think about it. So, out of all the different types of fireworks that are out there, and we've heard all the names. We've heard that there's little poppers. Okay. We think of those as being pretty benign. And generally speaking, they are. All the way up to, what do they call the M80s?
Oh, like the ones that came in the big box, like they look like a rocket in a box. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the loudest ones.
Yeah.
And one of the things about them, so in some places, they're completely illegal.
Yes.
They're illegal.
Yeah.
Depends on where you are. Depends on your community, depends on your state. And they're illegal for a reason. It's all of the potential danger involved with them. And so I've mentioned the fingers, the hands, the legs, and of course the eyes. But one thing people don't think about is the ears. They're loud. That's part of the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can get potential hearing loss at 85 decibels. But these, and let me just check to make sure I've got this right, for the ears, they can actually go up to 125 decibels.
Oh my gosh. And you can lose your hearing at 85 decibels?
At 85, not lose your hearing, but cause hearing loss, hearing damage. Yeah. And these go up to 125.
Mm-hmm.
So just being too close, never mind touching them, never mind the burns or the potential shrapnel, just hearing them.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So the other things about this, so we've got the hands and, rule number 1. Well, there's a lot of rules, but one of the major rules, do not pick these fireworks up. There is no reason, if you are lighting them, to pick them up. If a firework does not go off, leave it. Do not touch it. Because, and Dr. Kadisha and I were talking earlier about you had a patient. And what happened with that patient?
He did the Wile E. Coyote scenario. He was in his mid-40s. He and another middle-aged friend were lighting fireworks off in the street. One failed to detonate. And what does he do? Like the Wile E. Coyote, pick it up. Why isn't it going off? Whoosh! Peeled his finger like a banana and blew off the tip. I still remember, and maybe that was about 15 years ago, putting his fingertip in wet gauze in a plastic bag on ice and getting him to the trauma center ASAP on 4th of July.
And that happens way too often. People just, you're not thinking, oh, why didn't this one go off? Let me check. If something doesn't go off, leave it. At the end, wait. And the best way to dispose of anything fireworks-wise, it does not go off. Well, first of all, you should have water nearby anyway.
Yeah.
You should have at least a trash can size of water. Okay. Because you're going to take that unspent one and you're going to dump it in the water. Mm-hmm. That goes for any of these that don't go off. You're going to put them directly in water.
Okay.
So, couple of rules. Once you light it, make sure that you are a safe distance away. Make sure there are children, that your children stay a good distance away. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you are pointing it in a direction away from your house. Just a small tip.
Oh, gosh.
Wonder why. You also want to be aware of the weather conditions. In a lot of places right now, as we were just talking, it's hot. With that heat, there are droughts. If you say, oh, I'm in a clear field, no problem. What did I say earlier about the fires? You're going to start a fire. And that's a fire you can't control.
Yeah, dry grass and weeds.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So you've got to worry about that. You've got to worry about the shrapnel from it. And that's the importance of staying the distance, not only because of potential detonation, but also because you want to make sure that you are not hit by shrapnel. Because something which may seem like a little tiny cut can actually be harboring something a lot larger inside. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Kadisha and I know we've dug plenty of things out of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
can be horrible.
Yeah, from the least likely of places.
Absolutely. Just because your back is to it doesn't mean it can't still get you. All right. That's not funny, but we know there are places where, you definitely don't want to have shrapnel. Mm-mm. And I see Marlene Reeves here who said, news in DC just covered a 9-year-old lost a finger to fireworks. Oh, wow. They retrieved the finger to see if it could be reattached, and he blew up the entire bathroom. So he was lighting the fireworks indoors.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness. Mm-mm-mm. And that's the thing. If you have such a blast injury, generally, it cannot be repaired.
Right.
It's one thing if you have a amputation that's with I'll just say a circular saw, something's a nice clean cut. But when you have something like this with a blast injury, it mangles the skin, it mangles the tissue, it mangles everything. Mm-hmm. And trying to reattach that, the chances of that limb, that digit surviving are not very good. They're really not. So, huge thing to be worried about. Mm-hmm. All right. So, let's go on to the eyes.
Yes.
So, you get shrapnel in your eye, or you get one of the sparklers, one of the embers from a sparkler or from a fire that gets in your eye. Here's the important thing. I was just talking to a friend of mine, Dr. Charlotte, who's an ophthalmologist, and she said, do not touch your eye. Do not rinse your eye. Now, we always taught, you get something in your eye, rinse it out right away.
Mm-hmm.
These are the times you don't want to rinse your eye because you can potentially cause more damage.
Yes.
So with that, the best thing to do is to grab a cup. Because think about it, we don't have eye shields at home. You grab a cup, put that cup directly over your eye and tape it around, secure it down. You don't want anything that's going to touch even the eyelid. So you're not putting any pressure on that eye. And of course, you're going to go immediately to the emergency department. Because if there's a potential of saving that eye, we want you to do everything you can do, which is nothing. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't try to take something out of it. Leave it to the experts.
Yes. And I have to say that depending on the injury, and this is just to drive it further home, that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure with the eyes. Ophthalmologists aren't just sitting around the ER twiddling their thumbs waiting for people to come there. Not every hospital has free access to or has an ophthalmologist in-house. And based on where that hospital is, we might have to call around town to find a hospital that has an eye specialist. And sometimes with certain eye injuries, time is eye.
Exactly.
And if we can't get one in time, there might not be anything that anybody can do. So why not listen to Dr. Leslie and just avoid eye injuries altogether?
And one of the best ways to do that is to wear goggles.
Yes, indeed.
Why not? Why not? And like you said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So wearing something as simple as goggles, and most people have those goggles at home. You've got safety goggles from when you're doing, this work around the house or whatever it is.
Yes.
Or even if you don't have them, buy some. A couple dollars for your goggles to save your eyes. I think it's worth it. Definitely worth it. And Mike Morgan, otherwise known as my husband, said, I wish I had listened to if it doesn't go off, leave it advice when I was a kid. Is there something you haven't told me about an accident with fireworks? Yeah, we'll talk about that later. All right. So a couple other things we mentioned about the finger that patient had that injury with. So if you do have an injury or an amputation with your finger, one of the best ways to seek help, one of the best things you can do to potentially save that digit. So taking something like a paper towel, a cloth, getting it damp with some cold water, putting that digit in, just wrapping it in that towel. You never want to put a digit directly on ice. You want to wrap it in a towel. If you have a plastic bag, put that whole thing in a plastic bag and then put that bag on ice. So you're bringing it down to a temperature to potentially save it, but not to freeze it, because you can actually cause damage with freezing as well. And I see that Lorna Owens is on here saying, oh dear, yes, we have all the stories. We have both been practicing for 20 years. There is nothing that surprises us anymore, and we have pretty much heard it all. So we're going to keep this. We're not going to try to get too gory on you. That's why I did not bring any pictures. I thought about it, but it's right around dinner time. I decided not to do that to you all. And I'm sure you appreciate that. So those are just a couple of things as far as safety for fireworks. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Kadisha because she's going to talk about another subject.
Okay, so while we're on the topic of heat and things like that, I want to talk about the other hazard of summer and the 4th of July, and that is heat stress or heat illnesses. And heat illnesses are largely preventable. As you see, I've been drinking water throughout, like before my activity. If you just take into consideration your need for hydration before your activities, before going outside, you can avoid a lot of the things I'm about to discuss. And according to the CDC, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse with global warming. They've noticed that the United States temperature has been rising slowly since 1895, when the temperatures, since record keeping began. And they said that much of the United States has had an average increase of 1.3 to 1.9 degrees Fahrenheit. I know it doesn't sound like much, but the experts say that's not a small thing to just sweep under the rug. And the our most recent decade was the warmest one on record, and globally, 2016 was the warmest single year since recording has begun. And they're saying that the temperature is expected to continue with longer, more severe, more frequent heat waves expected. And the health effects include like heat cramps, heat exhaustion, heat rash, heat stroke, even death, and a condition called rhabdomyolysis. And this is a really close topic to my heart, because being in Houston, we have a lot of plants, chemical plants, and oil rigs and things like that around here. So we have a lot of men who are working, and women working, in conditions that are very hot, but where they have to often be completely covered, wearing jumpsuits and helmets and things like that. So I've definitely seen the effects of this. So again, this is largely preventable. And again, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So the first condition, heat exhaustion, that's the body's response to the excessive loss of water and salt, usually through excessive sweating. And workers most prone to heat exhaustion are most prone to that, and those the older folks. In general, the elderly, people who have high blood pressure, and those, again, working in hot environments like the plants around here. So folks who are older than 55, children under the age of 5, and people with chronic illnesses are the folks who are most at risk. And the symptoms of heat exhaustion are, it could be a headache, nausea, dizziness, just weakness, irritability, thirst, of course. And that's another thing. Don't wait until you feel thirsty to hydrate yourself. Heavy sweating, elevated body temperature, and decreased urine output. So just keep those things in mind. Even if you don't feel thirsty, even if you don't have the thirst, try to be mindful of the other symptoms. And I've had men come in from the plants and they just say, I just don't feel right, or I just feel like I'm like vibrating, like doing this. And that's because they feel dizzy and they're just nauseous. So
Dr. Rapp, I
yes.
also heard that there can be a time where you said you're sweating, that you stop sweating.
Yes, and we are going to get to that. That is really important. Really.
All right. I jumped ahead.
Just like ER docs, we always want to think about the worst case scenario, and that is our thing. So when you get mad at us because we didn't figure out the exact thing, sometimes it's our thing is to rule out what could kill you. And you see how Dr. Leslie went right to that, because that's what we're supposed to do. So to take care of this heat exhaustion, if you have someone suffering from heat exhaustion that you suspect, do the following. Take that person, first remove them from the heat. Take them to a cool area under the shade of a tree or an awning or something like that. Put cool compresses, if you can, behind their neck, under their arms, of course, on the forehead, behind the neck, under the arms, in the groin area, to help cool them down, and again, provide hydration, and make sure that they can that you get them to at least an urgent care or an emergency department for further evaluation and treatment. Okay, so that's heat exhaustion. And just to make sure that I covered everything, the next one is heat syncope, and that's fainting. Syncope is fainting, passing out. And that usually occurs with prolonged standing or rising suddenly from a
Mhm.
sitting or lying position in the heat or just in a heat environment. And dehydration and a lack of being used to that environment are typically the culprits. And the symptoms of that is fainting for a short duration, dizziness, lightheadedness during prolonged standing, or again, suddenly rising from a sitting or lying position. So, to treat someone with that occurrence, you sit or lie them down again in a cool place. Number one thing for all of these conditions is to get them out of the heat. Have them slowly drink water or clear juice or a sports drink. And again, plan a trip to the emergency department or at least in urgent care for hydration and just further evaluation to make sure that nothing else is going on, and make sure that they're not progressing into the next stage of heat illness, which could be heat cramps, which usually occur with someone who sweats a lot during strenuous activity. The sweating depletes the body's salt and moisture levels. Low salt levels in muscles causes painful cramps, and heat cramps may also be another symptom of heat exhaustion. So you have the muscle cramps or spasms in the abdomen, arms, or legs. And to address that, again, get them out of the heat and have that person cool down again. Try to, again, put cool compresses, forehead, behind the neck, under the arms, in the lap or groin area, and have them drink water and have a snack or a carbohydrate electrolyte replacement, like Gatorade, um, every 15 to 20 minutes. Hopefully, you don't have them out there for that long a period of time, and you can get them to the ER. Avoid giving them salt tablets, and and especially if the person has heart problems, or is on a low sodium diet, or if the cramps don't subside in an hour. Say you have someone who's kind of stubborn, they don't want to go to the ER, especially because of the pandemic. We are seeing a lot of people who are neglecting getting themselves very important care because they're afraid of catching COVID in the ER. Um, if they're fighting you and they're alert and oriented, but fighting you, and they're in the right mind to fight you, if they're not better in an hour, then you're going to have to force the issue.
Yes.
Okay. So we got heat cramps, and then let's see here. So we've covered exhaustion, cramps, syncope, and last but not least is what Dr. Leslie was alluding to, which is heat stroke. And that's the most serious heat related illness. And it occurs when the body becomes unable to control the temperature. Everything's just out of control. And so the body's temperature rises rapidly. Because usually we can keep our temperature under control by like sweating, or, sweating with a breeze going by. That helps to keep us cool, things like that. But with heat stroke, the sweating mechanism fails and the body's unable to cool down. It's just completely unable. And the body temperature can rise to 106 Fahrenheit or higher within 10 to 15 minutes. And that person fails to sweat. And this condition could lead to death or permanent disability if emergency treatment is not given. So this person typically is not completely with it. They're not completely oriented or alert. So you do what you need to do. So other symptoms of heat stroke include confusion, an altered mental state, slurred speech. That's why they use the word stroke, because it can present like a stroke. Loss of consciousness, where they just go into a coma. Hot, dry skin, which is what Dr. Leslie was referring to when you just stop sweating.
Right.
Or sometimes you'll notice that the person was sweating profusely and then they become dry. It's like, what happened? What, you're not affected by the heat anymore? They are very much affected by the heat. Seizures, an extremely high body temperature. And again, this is fatal if treatment is delayed. So again, Call 911 first. If you have someone with an elevated body temperature, they're dry when they should be sweating and they're confused, call 911, get the person out of the heat, stay with the worker or that person until EMS arrives. And
Mhm.
already you have them in the shaded, cool area. Remove their outer clothing, and again, cool them down with cold water, or if you have ice in a cooler somewhere, don't put ice directly on the skin. Maybe wrap it in a shirt or a towel. And again, forehead, behind the neck, under the
Mhm.
arms, and in the groin area. Maybe if possible, wet the skin, put cold wet cloths on the skin also, or soak their clothing in cool water and place it on their skin. Circulate the air around them if there's any access to a fan to speed the cooling. And again, head, neck, armpits, groin, and get them to the emergency department. Now, another consideration that I wanted to add was rhabdomyolysis, which I had referred to before. Now, this is when a person they stay with it, they stay active. They're working out. In this heat. They think that they're doing something great because they're working hard, they're sweating, they're getting the most out of an intense workout. But you can actually cause muscle breakdown if you do too much. And this is associated with heat stress and prolonged physical exertion. So that's what I'm trying to say, resulting in the breakdown, meaning the rupture at the death of muscle. And when that muscle tissue dies, it spills out very large proteins and electrolytes into the bloodstream that can
Mhm.
cause an irregular heart rhythm, seizures, or even kidney damage.
Yes.
And so the symptoms of this include muscle cramps, pain. You might just think it's heat cramps, and you drink your Gatorade or whatever and you keep going. And that's how some of these folks end up in rhabdo or rhabdomyolysis. It's because they just thought it was heat cramps and they just wanted to keep going. They might have abnormally dark tea or Coca-Cola that's like a tongue twister. Coca-Cola colored urine,
Yes.
weakness, and exercise intolerance. So that's a word out to you trainers that like to push people. Sometimes you got to listen to your clients if they say that they have too much pain or something like that. It reminds me of Corey Stringer, the football player
Mhm.
who died during training for football. So yeah, just listen. So people listen to your body. Trainers listen to your clients. Coaches listen to your athletes if they complain of this. Um, or sometimes, because sometimes they might be asymptomatic. Especially young folks, young muscular people. They might not have any symptoms except seeing this dark tea colored urine after the
Mhm.
workout. And so what you have to do for this is just stop the activity. Just stop it. They're not a loser. They're not weak. They're not, if they want to stop, let them stop. You are
Right.
not a loser. You are not weak. You are not lazy if you want to stop. Just stop.
Mhm.
Increase your oral hydration. Water is preferred. Seek immediate care at the nearest medical facility. If they need to transfer you to a higher level of care, they will do so,
Mhm.
and asked to be checked for rhabdomyolysis, meaning, and typically our basic blood work will check for CK or creatine kinase. So, and they'll ask you to urinate, and they'll usually will want to keep you for a little bit in the ER or admit you based on how high your creatine kinase is and your myoglobin is. Because we're also looking at other factors like your kidney function and things like
Mhm.
that. So want you to stay hydrated, stay cool if you can, and um, yeah, again, an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. Watch your little ones, watch your elderly, so that you can, be safe and have as much fun as is reasonable during this pandemic, during the holiday. And I want to take it back to Dr. Leslie.
All right. Thank you for that great information. And I
Thank
was
you.
going to say, one of the things was staying hydrated. Dr. Kadisha mentioned water is the best. The sports drinks like Gatorade, fine. No caffeine. We
Yes,
live in Texas. People live by sweet tea.
they should.
Anything that has caffeine is actually dehydrating the body. So, no caffeine, coffee, no, tea, no, Dr. Pepper, another favorite in Texas. No, absolutely
No
not. You're
Red
doing your
Bull.
body more harm. Right. No
No
Red
Red
Bull,
Bull. No Bang. No Bang.
no bang, none of those. You are doing your body more harm than good on so many other levels, but especially if you're talking about dehydration.
Yes.
That's the worst thing you can do. Lorna asked, what about sun on the eyes? Should we protect our eyes by wearing sunglasses? Absolutely. So a lot of times people wear sunglasses just as a fashion statement. Okay, all well and good. But make sure that those sunglasses that you wear have UV protection. Your eyes, as we were talking about before with eye injuries, you only get one pair.
Yeah.
You cannot reverse that damage. And if that damage is accumulating over time because you're not taking proper protection for your eyes, there's nothing to do. There's nothing you can do. So wear your sunglasses every time you go outside. And here's the thing, that's not just for the summer. That's all year round. If you live in one of the colder climates where you actually have the snow, believe it or not, the snow, reflection of the sun on the snow, can cause just as much, if not more damage than the direct sunlight. Because think about how white reflects, that's exactly what can happen to your eyes, is more damage. So you've got to be super careful about that as well.
Definitely.
So,
And little ones too. They have glasses for little babies too.
Yes.
Don't forget
Yes.
the little ones.
So at this time, we have a special gift for people who are watching us here today. And this is just some information for you for some tips on safety. So if you see that link scrolling across, that is for tips on safety for both fireworks as well as the next subject I'm about to talk about, which is grilling and outdoor fires. All right. So getting on to that. Right now is a time, 4th of July. The other thing we think about is cooking out, grilling. Well, some people grill all year round, but especially when you get people together, they want to go ahead and have that outdoor cookout. So start with the basics once again. Safety is key. It doesn't matter if you cook the best steak around if you get injured in the process. And trust me, I've seen people in the ER that are like, dang, I was ready for that steak and it's got to be thrown away because now it's no good because I burned myself and ended up in the ER instead of enjoying my meal.
Yeah.
So, hi, Dr. Jerisa. Thanks for joining us. And so, one of those things, number one, make sure that your grill is at least 3 feet away from a building, especially if you have siding, if you have decking. People grill on their decks all the time. If you're going to grill on your deck, make sure that you have a protective flooring for the underneath that grill. Because yes, you may have this coating or that coating on the grill. You do not want to cause a fire. Once again, the steak's not worth it.
Nope.
The other thing is that same rule as far as thinking about 3. You want to make sure children stay at least 3 feet away from the grill. Because what are the hazards? You know, mommy, daddy, let me help you. Let me help you. And they're coming up. And it is so easy for them to become burned. Another rule, when people are trying to start their grill, they're using charcoal. They don't use the gas grills. They just use charcoal. So you use an accelerant, lighter fluid. Now, it's fine to use lighter fluid, but how many people actually read the directions to how to use lighter fluid properly? Nobody does. The proper way to use lighter fluid is to put the lighter fluid on the charcoal, then wait. It is supposed to soak into the charcoal.
Okay.
Then you light it. It will still light. It's not going to go away. It didn't evaporate. It's soaked into the charcoal.
Okay.
Under no circumstances do you have lighter fluid in one hand and your match or your what do you call any lighting lighter in the other hand. Okay? All that's going to do as you start to squirt and you light that, it's going to come back on you.
See, this is why I don't even mention. I don't even try to grill.
See? Because I mean, it's so easy if you don't follow the simple steps. So something that simple can be devastating. I have seen too many people with I'm talking about minor burns where they lose their eyebrows, they lose their eyelashes, men can lose their beards, facial hair, that sort of thing. But that's just the start of what can happen to you. That's the start. And that burns, if anyone knows anyone who has had a burn, that is a horrific injury. The pain that just continues and continues. It's awful. So another safety tip for that. Yeah. Other things you want to do is that once you're finished grilling, let the grill cool down. After it's cooled down, you want to clean the grill. Now, I know there are people who do not clean their grill. They feel just like that old iron skillet that's quote unquote seasoned. Yes. Because it's been used for so many times.
The food tastes better.
The food tastes better, or so they say. It's not the same with the grill. You have to clean the grill because the next time you go to use it, you could easily start a grease fire.
Oh.
Absolutely. So starting a grease fire is different, obviously, than just putting out flames. You can't throw water on a grease. Pardon?
You can't use water on it?
You cannot throw water on a grease fire.
What happens?
Oh, have you ever been cooking something on a stove, just regularly on a stove with using oil? And maybe you throw some vegetables you're sauteing and you throw in some vegetables?
After I washed them and then I put them in the saute.
Yes. And what happens? That's all over the place. All over the place. You get splattered.
Oh.
No. With a grease fire, the same way, but now instead of it just being that little bit of oil, you can potentially have a flamethrower on your hands.
Yeah. This is why I don't even try.
See, it is not good. I see Dr. Ken has joined us and he says, no, watch your grease, not good. This is exactly the reason why. So the way to put out a grease fire actually is sand or covering it. Okay. Obviously, if you're outside and you have an entire grill, if you've got a grill, it has a cover. Cover goes down. Make sure that vent is closed as well. Okay. You're going to suffocate it. That's the best way for a grease fire if you don't have sand. And I see Marlene over here says, have small fire extinguishers. I was going to get to that. Absolutely. If you are grilling, you should have a fire extinguisher nearby. That will take care of flame no matter what the cause. The fire extinguisher will work.
Yeah, that'd be super smart to have.
Exactly. And not just, we're told that we should have fire extinguishers. We all know that.
Yeah.
I know I have them in my house, but I'll be honest with you. When was the last time I checked the date on them?
Right.
You buy them when you move into a house.
Yeah.
But do you check the date? So now I've got a note for myself, and I'm going to do that as soon as we finish. I'm going to go check the date and make sure that they're not expired, because when you need them to work. Absolutely.
So true.
Yes.
And mine is like behind like the 409 oven cleaner, the Fabuloso, the Palmolive, it's like up against the back wall. I gotta be like,
but you have it.
Yeah,
you've done that step. You have it. But you should have it in more than one place in your house.
Yeah.
So under the sink, yes, because that's the closest place to the stove, most likely. In the garage. You should have one in the garage.
Yeah.
There's too many things. I'm going to give you an example, and I know this is a little bit off subject, but I have a neighbor whose house was being built, and the house was within 2 weeks of being completed, 2 weeks away. Well, someone left rags that they had used for staining in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in a hot environment, something like that can automatically combust. And that is exactly what happened. That home, which was 2 weeks away from completion, was burned to the ground. We've got to think about fire safety all the time and take those special precautions. Now, I'm not saying there was no one living in the house, so no lives were affected as far as physically, but imagine how an innocent mistake of putting those rags, leaving those rags in a pile, can cause something that drastic. So we've got to think about fire safety all the time. Definitely. Another thing I want to mention is that once you're finished with grilling, is you want to let those coals completely die. Okay? Same thing within your fireplace at home. You think, I can go to bed now, whether it's grilling or whether it's your fireplace, I can go to bed now because it's just the little embers right now. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
When you're outside, wind comes along. And if just a little bit of wind can take that little ember and carry it long distances. And now we're back. We've ignited our house. We've ignited a field. We've ignited our fence. There's so many things. Once again, it is all about taking that extra step. So if you're grilling, I'm not saying that you have to throw water on your grill. Now, if you have a bonfire, absolutely. If you have a bonfire, you're dealing with all this wood. You're outside, you've done everything safe, you had your little circle, everything. But you can't say, well, we're finished. Let's go home. I'm tired. Extra step, that water nearby, be it a hose, be it that trash can full of water.
Yeah.
Douse everything so you do not have to worry about that. And I see we have Patrick here who said, I will buy a fire extinguisher now. That is right, Patrick. That is awesome because we don't want to see you in our emergency departments. We have enough business. Trust me.
Exactly. Especially
especially
not this weekend. Not this weekend.
Not this weekend. Not this weekend. And if any of these accidents can be avoided, yes, they're called accidents for a reason. But we're talking about safety today because so many of these accidents can be prevented. And that's what we're all about. It really is. That's why we're here talking to you today, because we want to prevent all of this for you. One other thing I wanted to mention as far as fire pit safety, same rules, at least 3 feet away from your house. Now, most people, fire pits, we buy them. You can buy them at any of your home and garden stores, anything like that. Fire pits, they're easy. You're thinking, well, it's not going to cause a fire anyplace. It's contained. Same rules apply. 3 feet away from a building or structure. Same thing applies when you're finished, dousing that, making sure that there are no embers. Absolutely. Always a 3. Children, staying 3 feet away. Same idea. The other thing is with those embers, with some of those fire pits, one of the things fire pits come with is they come with a little metal screen.
Yeah.
Anybody think about why that screen is there?
To keep the sparks contained? Or?
Exactly. Just like you can buy those for your pans when you're cooking something with grease, you can put that screen over it. On when you're cooking, it's the same thing goes. You have the same amount of heat. You still get to enjoy the beauty of that fire, that flame. but you're doing it in a safe manner. So I encourage you to follow these little simple steps because, Dr. Kadisha, I don't want to see any more burns. I really don't.
Um,
I do not want to see more burns.
because we can't really do but so much, but to, maybe clean it a little bit. But even
Mhm.
just putting water on most burns is painful to you.
Yes,
And all we can do is dress it and send you out.
exactly.
And another thing, though, is if you do sustain a burn, just
Mhm.
like you should have a fire extinguisher present, you should have a first aid kit present.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I have to say that, talking about this kind of stuff and seeing it over the last couple of decades has made me really passionate about
Mhm.
um, helping people address these kinds of things, or maybe even completely address these things so that you don't have to be in the ER,
Mhm.
especially on a holiday weekend. Just like Dr. Erica was saying earlier, she said people are acting up just to act up.
Yes.
And the holiday is tomorrow, and it's going to be in the emergency department. COVID cases are rising and everything.
Mhm.
So definitely check out my kit. I think
Aha.
I've in here. So here's my kit, the Mobile MD kit. And I say mobile because it should be in your car, your house, and your workplace. But yeah, in addition to the gauze pads and things like that, I have a burn dressing in here. So, and
Awesome.
most of
Awesome.
like like the cost effective ones and all, and they have like gauze and antibiotic ointment and stuff like that. I've got that
Mhm.
stuff in here too. But try to have one that has this in it also.
Yes.
And this would be
Yes.
good for like sunburn too. You might be doing everything right and avoiding fires and things like that, and you just get sunburn.
Right. Right. And Dr. Kadisha's kit will help you out in those difficult situations because, as she said, it's mobile for a reason. You
Hmm.
carry it with you. You leave one in your car, you're going to have it. You're going to have it because you don't know where you may be when, even if it's not for you, you may be able to help someone else in trouble.
Yeah. Because you know how friends get injured or something in your house and then they try to sue you or something? You might be able
Oh,
to
Lord.
address that with one of the many things in this kit.
Yes. Yes. So you'll see scrolling across the bottom of the screen is a bit.ly link for Dr. Kadisha's shop. And in her shop, you will be able to buy your own mobile first aid kit.
Yeah. And you'll see what it contains. It's got an ice pack in there. It's got an ace wrap to secure the ice pack where it needs to go. You don't, like Dr. Leslie said before, you don't want to put an ice pack or ice directly on the skin.
Mhm.
So you can secure it with gauze while you, and then, put your ace wrap on. So I fought through like tons of injuries and illnesses and put things for each step of it in there. So here's your cold compress. And if
Which
you
is,
get stuff in your eye, if you have a foreign body sensation, like she said,
Mhm.
there are the most severe injuries just don't do anything. But if you feel like there's something in there, we got eye wash. You don't have to use your half empty bottle of water
Mhm.
or somebody else's half empty bottle ill. And you can just use something like that, like eye wash meant specifically for that. But carry on, Dr. Leslie.
I was going to say, so don't forget to check out that link. Oop, other hand. There we go, with my hand in there. Right below at Dr. Kadisha MD shop. And you can buy her kit. So, in wrapping up, oh, did I say wrapping up? That was not a pun intended. Really, it
Oh,
wasn't.
I've been dealing with it since I was 6. I've been dealing with it since I was 6.
The last thing that we want to talk to you about is the subject that is in everybody's minds nonstop because of what is going on in our country and around the rest of the world. And when we're talking about safety tips, we've all heard it. We all know what needs to be done. We're not telling you anything you haven't heard for days, weeks, months at this point. Dr. Kadisha, how do we get people to listen, to take those steps? What more can we possibly say or do?
That's a great question, because obviously we're not doing something right. The cases have gone up. We have poured water on our plans for 4th of July. We've poured water on our summer travel plans, and even the kids going back to school. We're not doing something right, and so we just have to keep seeing that. And maybe we need mental health professionals who know how to talk to people, like Dr. Ken and Dr. Erica, to tell us how to tell people, wash your hands for 20 seconds. And why? Well, and maybe you need more explanation. Okay, so we say wash your hands for 20 seconds because it takes about 20 seconds for the soap to rupture the membranes of the virus or viruses, bacteria. It takes about that amount of time of friction and rubbing to destroy those bacteria. So if you need to imagine that, then hopefully that will help you as far as washing your hands. You say your happy birthday twice, or do 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, up to 20, and just imagine those bacteria and viruses, the coronavirus, bursting, rupturing, dying, being destroyed at 20 seconds.
And here's the thing about that. This is not just your normal, I use the bathroom, I wash my hands. This is going above and beyond that.
Yes.
If you are out and about anywhere, you will be touching surfaces. It's guaranteed you'll touch surfaces. You don't know what you're picking up.
Right.
Just assume the worst. And I know a lot of people have been wearing gloves. And gloves would be great if people were wearing them properly. No, I'm not saying you don't know how to put gloves on, but I'm talking about, don't think that gloves are a barrier if you touch something and then, what did I just do? Exactly. I took whatever was on my glove and I put it right on my face. Or people do all the time, just rubbing your nose, something simple. You're not thinking about it. And I think that for many instances, gloves give people a false sense of security.
Yes, exactly what I was thinking.
Yes. And so the idea is to clean your hands all the time. Most places that you need to go, the supermarkets, drugstores, things like that, they all have your hand, I'm going to say lubricants, but your antibacterial items. They all have the hand sanitizers. Everywhere you go has hand sanitizers. Get them, use them. They will once again protect you if you're using them often. So that, make it automatic. Make it automatic. I touched something. Put the hand sanitizer on. Take care of that. Okay.
Right.
What else? What else can we do?
So what else we can do is, so we talked about washing your hands, not touching your face. And we talked about those first because that will help prevent the primary way that this thing is spread. If you're touching it, like Dr. Leslie said, and you touch the soft, moist areas of your eyes, nose, or mouth, then you got it. Exactly. So in addition to that, you will need to wear a mask more. And based on the state, you might have to wear the mask more frequently in more places. Now, I think in Houston, with our mask mandate, we had to wear them, in the restaurants and grocery stores and things like that. But then they said, but not in the bank, because
Right.
if somebody tries to rob the bank, then we need to see your face or
Hmm.
something like that. In another state, they were saying you have to wear the mask everywhere, but you don't have to wear it in church. So yeah. So under the mask,
Yeah.
yeah,
I,
right,
okay.
yeah,
Okay. We're not getting political. We're just trying to
right,
give you the science. Okay.
right. Um, so so when it comes to wearing a mask, um, know what your state mandate requires,
Right.
because you might go somewhere expecting to take care of business. You've already taken the risk of leaving home and going to a certain place, and then they turn you around and you got to find a mask, or pull something over your face. And it is said that, while anything is better than nothing, the surgical masks or tea cloth, those tend to be more effective. If you can combine like a cotton mask with chiffon or flannel, that can increase the efficacy of it.
Mhm.
But whatever you do, make sure that it forms a good seal around the sides, because yeah, if you're gapping on the sides, it doesn't matter what is right here, if air and viral particles can get in on the sides. But yeah, bandanas, it's still better than nothing, because at the very least you are protecting other people from your respiratory droplets, and you want other people to at least protect you from their respiratory droplets, and that's another part of the primary way that this virus is transmitted, through the
And
respiratory droplets.
that's so key because people think I'm not sick. I'm not worried about getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't even know if you're sick or not. You can still have the virus. You do not have to show symptoms to
Right.
be a carrier. So even if you say, well, I'm not worried, I want to live my life, I want to do it my way, I'm not worried about this. Think about other people. One of the things I have said from the very beginning is I don't want to kill grandma.
Ooh.
If you think
Ooh.
just that simply, I
Right.
don't want to kill grandma.
Yeah.
So, yes, Dr. Kadisha and I are exposed to people with COVID mostly on a regular basis. We do. That's what we do. That's what we're here to do. But the last thing I want to do is to say, I'm not sick. I have no symptoms. I'm going to walk around without wearing a mask
Mm-hmm.
because I could be a carrier. And I'm wearing my mask every time I leave my house because I am looking out for you. And just like I'm looking out for you, everyone should be looking out for each other.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's how we take care of this problem. That's how we decrease the infectivity. That's how we decrease the number of cases, is looking out for our fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
That's key.
Exactly. And let's see, Dr. Ken, board certified psychiatrist, did respond to what I said. And he said, sometimes it takes time for the message to sink in. We have to find the something that person cares about. It's obviously not what we've been telling them, which was, wash your hands, mask up, distance. It's obviously not that. Okay, so, all right, so forget what we've been saying over and over and over again. If you're more of a concrete person, think about how they canceled the 50th New York Marathon. That
Mhm.
is like
Yeah.
one of the biggest things of the year. They
Mhm.
canceled the New York City Marathon.
Mhm.
Disney World is not reopening.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
People,
All of those things.
yes, people don't want to
Mhm.
go on the National Mall to watch the fireworks. I'm from DC. When I was little, that was the thing. That was the thing. Like the biggest, those are the best fireworks you can watch when you're in the nation's capital. Now there's a debate over whether it should happen and if it's safe, and maybe it shouldn't happen. Maybe it's not happening. Look at that. This, it's real.
It's real.
And
It
maybe
is.
spoken to enough people, but I mean, we're, like Dr. Leslie said, we are seeing these people, and over the last few weeks, the ERs have gotten busier. I'm seeing this. I see it on the X-rays. You think, oh, you can't see it. It's just floating around. No, I see it on the X-rays. I see it. We can see it.
We see it. We
You
know.
can see it. And if I have to post X-rays on my Instagram, then I will. If you need to see it, I'll do that.
Right. It's up to us. It's up to each one of us to talk to our friends, talk to our families. The word, people know. They've heard it. They've heard it a million times by now. Hearing it and acting upon it are two totally different things. It's up to us to empower ourselves. Yes, they're working on a vaccine. They're working on a cure. That's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's coming, but we don't know when. We don't know. So why not take that extra step yourself to prevent the disease as much as you possibly can? That's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
So wear your masks. You can get on my Shopify page. You can get this mask here. See, it covers the sides. It has a filter in it. And now I'm going to provide you with a month's worth of filters if you get a mask.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Right. Okay. I have a kit, like a whole little kit. It's like a little reminder. It's got surgical masks inside. Another thing we need to do is monitor our symptoms. So I've got the forehead thermometer strips so that you can, if you're starting to feel feverish, you can check right away. Because even if you're well at home and everyone else is in the home with you, you still want to monitor your symptoms in case something comes on, especially if you guys, because you could still go to the grocery store and catch something, go to the gas station and catch something. I've got gloves, and this is a smaller kit. I've got gloves. This is like the mini kit here. We've got gloves, sanitizer, and then like the basic surgical masks there. And you can keep that with you. And even if you use everything up, you still have a nice case to hold your mask in. So you can get it in this case, or you can get it in this case. And instead of like hanging it from your rear view mirror, where it kind of, it
sign of the times.
Yeah. Seeing that, or, it's under the seat, or it's, in the seat that people sit in, you're putting your mask there and putting it on your face. It's like, oh, wait a minute, someone just sitting there. So, just check those things out, because I want all of us to be safe and healthy and get over this. Even if you're angered at the fact that, at the thought of wearing a mask, think of what else it's depriving you of. We're talking about it being a matter of freedom, but it's like, we can't really safely go anywhere.
No, we can't do the things we were doing.
Exactly.
So why not lessen that time that we have to have these restrictions in place? Just by doing your part.
Yeah. Or the freedom of feeling comfortable going to a restaurant like that, that's gone. That's gone. The comfort of just going to or to the movies, that feeling of freedom is gone.
Yep. So once again, to buy Dr. Kadisha's kit, it is right below at bit.ly / Dr. Kadisha Rep. Dr. Kadisha MD shop, Dr. Kadisha MD shop. And just so we remember as well, I'm going to go back and show you where you can get your tips on the July 4th tips. So a lot of what we talked about today, you'll get that directly to your email. And that is also free, because we want to keep you safe during this holiday weekend. And we thank you so much for joining us. It has been our pleasure to talk with you. We appreciate all of your comments. And if you are watching this later on, please just insert hashtag replay so we know that you got to see this. And we also invite you to share. So all those people that didn't get an opportunity to watch us will come back, and who knows, might have some more for you later on.
Yeah, please
After
share.
all,
Please
yes,
share.
you get two emergency docs together with combined 40 years of experience. Trust me, we have the tales to tell. So
Thank
we'll
you
do
so
our
much,
best.
Leslie. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, I'm sorry I got a little hot.
I am so glad that you were able to join me, and love our matching purples here today. And so thank you so much. Thank you.
Guys.
Once again, I am Dr. Leslie Sharp, board certified emergency physician. And also, one thing I did not mention during this, I'm also a professional photographer. So I help physicians and dentists to rebrand and show their best selves through portrait photography. In addition, I also help entrepreneurs with product photography. So all of those budding entrepreneurs out there who are ready to show their products, bring their products to consumers, that's what I help with as well. And Dr. Kadisha,
And
wrap it up for us.
thank you. I'm Dr. Kadisha. Just like Dr. Leslie, I'm a board certified emergency medicine physician and author of the best-selling book, Help Us Help You in the Emergency Room. It's what an ER doctor would tell you if they only had the time. And the purpose of this book, again, I'm very passionate about it. It was inspired by 20 years of experience of seeing people's frustration over the miscommunication, frustration over extra testing, the delays, the nurse asking questions, and then the doctor coming and asking the same questions. And, I answer all of those things and more in this book. I break it into little pieces with lots of pictures, and there's even a little workbook in the center so that you can write your history down and your procedures and surgeries and allergies, just so you can take immediate action on the advice that is provided in that book. And there's also a section for your child. There's a lot of people who are weekend parents. There's a reminder in there to get your child's history in there, because that has led to a lot of delays also, while you have to call the ex to find out what happened at his last doctor's appointment. So it's so much, it's all that and more, but it's still an easy read. It's only this thick and it's got tons of pictures in it. But all of this is to help people feel better, be safer, and better prepared for emergent medical situations.
Absolutely. And please continue to follow me on Facebook at Dr. Leslie Sharp.
And
thanks so much.
Instagram at Dr._Kadisha_MD.
All right. Have a great evening, everyone, and be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.